Someplace else that sentiment seems to be playing, because I don't know, are there fundamentals in Bitcoin yet?
Depends who you talk to.
So sentiment definitely a big player in Bitcoin. Bitcoin haters on Wall Street, when they speak, they sound the alarm sometimes over the crypto asset, but they usually have good things to say about blockchain technology. Even Jamie Dimon, when he said Bitcoin's a fraud, he said, but blockchain's good. So what are some of the actual use cases that have investors optimistic? David Garrity of GVA Research joins us now. So David, you actually sit on a couple of company boards or advisory boards that are blockchain companies. So as an investor, what has you most excited about the blockchain, not as a consumer, but as an investor?
Well, if we look at the modern economy, Jen, you have supply chains are fairly extensive. And these are supply chains that not only are existing in terms of the movement of actual goods, but in the terms of actual provision of services. And when we look at global service industries, advertising stands out with over $600 billion in advertising spend annually. And so from that standpoint, there are great efficiencies to be gained in advertising. If we do go back and look historically, John Wanamaker out of Philadelphia had said that with advertising, he knew that half his budget was wasted. He just didn't know which. And so people have been asking for greater accountability in the advertising industry historically, and the introduction of blockchain technology is going to improve transparency and improve tracking with respect to the execution.
So you think, like, I mean, blockchain, I get the financial stuff. You can see how the banks are going to use it, maybe to buy real estate and settling accounts there. How's the advertising industry going to use it?
Well, when we look at the advertising industry, you go from, say, an advertiser, Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies, say a Procter & Gamble with over a $2 billion budget. They'll have a number of advertising agencies that they'll work with. And in terms of executing advertising campaigns, the agencies themselves will turn to a variety of intermediaries. Now, to the extent that we look across this extended supply chain relative to ad campaign execution, the use of the blockchain will be able to better track actually how these dollars are going down through the supply chain, how they're being executed in terms of what individuals they're actually being shown to and what kind of conversion rate there is coming back. And even though there may be a very convoluted supply chain here, our view is that using blockchain, ClearCoin will be able to introduce greater transparency and accountability, and in the process reduce the waste. More particularly, one area that we're looking at is the area of advertising fraud, which is a number estimated to be about $16 billion for the industry in 2017. That's an estimate from WPP Group. And obviously, if we can just reduce $16 billion worth of fraud by introducing blockchain, obviously everybody is going to benefit.
So as part of this, you could also see an ICO. Do you see ICOs eventually replacing IPOs completely? So ICOs, initial coin offerings, IPOs, which we're more familiar with, initial public offerings, the kind that we see across the street at the NASDAQ every day.
Well, clearly there's a wide range of legal opinion right now, and we really haven't set precedent. But my view and my advice to the companies I've been involved with is that the funds that you raise from your initial coin offering can be used to develop the technology to support the use of the coin. However, if you're to look at the parent company that's bringing about or promoting this blockchain application, funds raised for that entity have to be in a separate bucket, which could be taken from traditional venture capital investors. But these are funds that should be raised and kept separate and segregated from the monies raised by the ICO, which can be used to support the technology which the utility token, which the ICO is, will be used with.
If there's going to be all these ICOs for things like advertising, which feels very far down the blockchain chain, but maybe not, maybe it's coming any day, what does that mean for the price of Bitcoin? What do you think it means for the demand that we've seen for that crypto asset?
Well, I think that some of the challenges running into with Bitcoin is just trying to transact using Bitcoin as a payment mechanism is turning out to be substantially slower than people might hope for. You can process a transaction, say, via Visa, a traditional payment processor, far faster than you can with Bitcoin. And it's this payment processing performance characteristics which alternative currencies or cryptocurrencies are going to have to contend with. Bitcoin, if it's really going to be competitive going going forward is going to have to start addressing this slow payment processing speed. Obviously, there are other protocols such as Ethereum or EOS, which are being developed that have much faster processing times than Bitcoin. But clearly, it's a space that's evolving, and people have to pay close attention to it.
All right, David Garrity, thank you so much for shining a little light on it for us today. Great talking to you.
Thank you.
So, Miles, Bitcoin, blockchain to a lesser extent, all the rage on Wall Street. We get all these notes, like what people are searching for. Bitcoin's in there every day. Do you think that this is going to swing back the other way at all soon? Like everyone after Thanksgiving, we all talked about it and it was all great and everyone bought, but after Christmas, everyone's going to sell?
Well, it depends. I mean, Bitcoin's up $2,000 since Thanksgiving, so it seems fine. No, I thought David's comments were probably some of the clearest that we've heard, at least here, about why blockchain is different from Bitcoin. I mean, I think Bitcoin as a markets investor psychological phenomena is something that I'm interested in just because, I read about markets and I'm well aware that manias have come and go, and it's very obvious, as I've said a number of times, the price of Bitcoin isn't a mania. I don't know what that means for blockchain, probably not that much. And I think the advertising industry versus buying stuff at Duane Reade is a great example of how blockchain can be useful. Ad fraud has been widely documented. I think we go on sites and we see Taboola ads for, Kourtney Kardashian did what? And it's like, that's obviously, right, that's obviously fake. It's probably just, some BS. So you could use blockchain to make sure that that kind of stuff doesn't happen. You as an advertiser are not running bad ads, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it's clear that the Bitcoin protocol or any of these protocols simply take too long to run to make it useful for me going to buy stuff from a vendor. Now, maybe it's easier for me to send you money between us if we're willing to wait the 10 minutes and we know that it's legit because we have a Bitcoin settlement between the two of us. That's all far down the road. But again, I think that was an interesting and helpful way to frame the difference between blockchain and Bitcoin. And I think the Bitcoin price is just its own story. That really has nothing to do
Which we talk about a
with
lot.
the protocol or any of these protocols.
Yes, and there it is.
But
there is the Bitcoin price
how
right
can
now.
you not talk about it? Look at it. It's the only interesting thing in markets.
Keeps moving, no matter what. Up 1% right now.